climbing on the 3,000-foot tall El Capitan for only 25 minutes when I break the cardinal rule of simulclimbing. I'm 350 feet up the sheer vertical face, and I'm tied to a rope that's skinnier than my index finger. And now, it pulls tight at my waist as it catches my fall. I tumble, uncontrolled, back into the corner I had just swung out of. See, my friend Mayan and I are doing everything we can to get to the top of the mountain as quickly as possible. And instead of stopping to belay and hold the rope for each other every 100 to 150 feet, as in traditional climbing, we've opted for the time-saving technique of simulclimbing. We're moving together, we can go much faster, but we also significantly decrease our safety margin. With only 1 or 2 pieces of gear clipped to the mountain between us at any time, a fall could be catastrophic, often up to 100 feet or more. That is, if we manage to avoid any of the bone-shattering ledges that pepper the side of the steep cliff face. But luckily for me, for us really, I fall in the one place on the entire 3,000-foot climb where no one would get hurt. So I hurriedly reverse the path of my fall, and Mayan and I continue our quest to break the female speed record on the nose of El Capitan. And we do it. After 4 hours and 43 minutes of high-risk, lung-bursting cardio, we collapse at the top. As I lay on the summit, breathless, I'm hurting, dizzy, I've never felt better in my life. But skip ahead 6 months, and I'm staying in a small community just south of Yosemite Valley in between attempts at another challenging climb. It's 11 p.m. when the texts start coming in, one after another. Jumpers missing, they read. Base jumpers, squirrel suiters, or what we call wingsuiters. An activity that's illegal in Yosemite, in all national parks in America, but still practiced by a secret few. Down in Yosemite Valley, pagers go off to alert and deploy the search and rescue team to look for the missing men who didn't meet up with their getaway car after leaping from a formation known as Taft Point. Calls and texts keep my phone warm throughout the night, and by 4 a.m., I'm heading down to the valley to meet up with a close friend of the missing. We lay in the dewy spring meadow with the barren granite walls looming over us, and we watch the helicopter scan up and down the cliff, looking for the line that the boys would have flown in their wingsuits. We crack a beer, and we hold our breath. We hope for the best-case scenario. Finally, the red-tail helicopter pauses for what feels like an eternity in a single location. My phone chimes with a text, and as we read it, we lay there breathless, hurting, and dizzy. Both bodies have been spotted by heli, working on bringing them down now. Dean and Graham had spent years pursuing the gift of human flight, risking and ultimately giving their lives for what I've heard jumpers describe as the greatest feeling in the universe. Now, the emotions that I felt laying on top of El Capitan rival those experienced by people indulging in successful human flight. There's heart-pounding in your ears fear, utter relief, vast bubbling joy, a meditative appreciation for life that mere words struggle to convey. But these are not limited to extreme sports. To live is to risk. The emotions that we all experience when we overcome struggle transcend our differences. Think about your greatest accomplishment or your favorite recent memory. Watching the Giants win the World Series, graduating from college, or bringing your baby into this world. This is Sarah, a ranger here in Yosemite, and the joy that she exudes when looking at her newborn infant it's infectious, unbridled giggling. It's a love of life so immense you can't help but marvel and laugh. And we're all capable of those same emotions. We're connected through this ability to love. Now, outside of my recreational life is the very high-intense world of pediatric heart surgery. Working in an ICU where babies and children routinely undergo some of the most difficult procedures in modern medicine exposes me to all facets of the human emotional scale. At work one night, as I'm making my way through my start-of-shift routine, assessing patients and checking med schedules, the cries of 4-year-old Danya halt my progress. I turn, busy and stressed, and I break the cardinal rule of childcare. Danya begins to fuss. I hand her my cell phone, and as I walk away, I sigh. But what replaces Danya's cry is the scream of a woman. Her mother, just behind me, lets out a howl that could wake the dead, because Danya is lying motionless and gray. Now, we work furiously to save Danya, She's ruptured a stitch that had been placed in one of the major veins leading to her heart, and she's now bleeding out fast. The surgeon emergently reopens her chest, and as she does so, a giant pool of dark red blood splashes to the floor. One of the other nurses guides Danya's mother out the door, ushering her to blood bank, trying to get her to donate for her dying baby. But what more can we do? Surgeon emergently reopens her chest, like you saw in the video. The ICU doctor takes over Danya's breathing with a tube and a machine. I'm constantly giving Danya medication and fluids to try and give her some semblance of a blood pressure, all while the surgeon repairs the offending hole. But without the oxygen-rich blood cells, Danya's heart can do no more. My medications do no more. Her lungs expand with air from each breath of the breathing machine, sending oxygen into lungs that have no blood to absorb it. We can do no more. We stand around her bed. We look at her little 4-year-old heart. It quivers. It sputters. It stops. As we pause to assess our past actions and potential options, I can hear the wailing outside the door. The other mothers, sensing the urgency, this life or death situation, have broken down with worry for Danya and for their own babies in the beds next to her. The surgeon has begun to mechanically massage Danya's heart, trying to coax it back to beating. Like I said, without the oxygen, her heart can do no more. My medications do no more. We can do no more. A room that seconds ago was filled with multiple tense voices, confirming meds given, stating changing vital signs, and issuing new orders, now falls silent. The only sound is the squish of the surgeon's hand as she compresses Danya's heart, coupled with the hiss of the breathing machine as it sends oxygen into Danya's empty, exposed lungs. We stand around Danya's bedside, clad in blue surgical gowns, splattered with this little girl's blood. And we are frozen. The doctors, the nurses, we all stare at this little 4-year-old heart, still and lifeless, and we will it to begin beating. But nothing. We are defeated. The silence is black. But before anyone speaks, the doors burst open, and the nurse that had ushered Danya's mother to blood bank comes rushing in with a unit of dark red blood raised triumphantly overhead. He tosses it to me. I draw it up and slam it into Danya as quickly as possible, and I hold my breath. I watch her heart. It quivers. It sputters. And it throws down beautiful, normal beat after normal beat. The other mothers, sensing the changing mood through the door left ajar in haste, begin with a tearful chorus of the word Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah means thanks be to God in Arabic. Young Danya is Libyan, born and raised in the city of Benghazi. Now, for the last 3 years, I've been traveling with the Novik Cardiac Alliance, helping to bring pediatric cardiac care and education around the world. Danya's surgery took place in Benghazi, Libya, amid turmoil and violence, in a city where mothers protect their children, in a place where businesses open and universities turn out graduates. Here people are married and babies born. Day-to-day life is just what it is for us at home in America. Ordinary is a relative term. Now, I fell while willingly engaging in one of the most dangerous versions of rock climbing out there, but finished up the rest of my climb uninjured. Dean and Graham, they lost their lives while testing the boundaries of human flight after countless successful leaps. And sweet little Danya, she was born in Benghazi with a heart defect, and she tore an important stitch after surgery, but she ultimately emerged unscathed. Now, I long ago lost the illusion that life was fair. Who lives and who dies is seldom related to factors that we can control. Whether the pain in your aunt's abdomen is a gallstone or pancreatic cancer, or whether their car stops at the intersection or collides with you as it accelerates through. If life were fair, I'd be dead. But as the UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights, written in 1948, dictates, Access to medical care is a basic human right for all. Across the globe, people who look different, that's Danya's surgeon, and people who live different lives still experience the same range of emotions that you do. Love and joy are the same. Sadness and loss are the same. The hormones that moderate these emotions are the same in each of us. So whether you are an athlete pushing your limits on a North American mountain, or a Muslim mother watching your daughter fight to live in North Africa, the desire to live life to the fullest, whatever that means, is universal. And while so much of life, so much of what hastens life's end is beyond our control, access to medical care that can save children like Danya should not be something that separates us. It should be what unites us.